back to when we were actually in the visibility zone. So, first of all, the information that people were getting about it being for only Williamson and Biden supporters was obviously incorrect, because there were people there for Warren, and there were people there for Amy, whose last name I can't remember. Klobuchar. And so we were all standing in the little corner of the parking lot, and there weren't that many people in there, so there was no question of it's packed. There were very few people. There were not that many people in there, and so we're all in the corner right behind the stage where the anchors were, and it was a group of Williamson supporters, a group of Warren supporters, like 2 people for Biden, and then us. And at the peak of it, we probably got about 15, 20 Bernie people to finally get in. So there was about 15 of us. I was standing right next to a person with a Warren sign, and there was a cameraman, CNN thing, who came and was taking, a pan of the crowd, as they do. People are cheering, and at one point we actually were chanting with the Warren supporters, so it wasn't, it was, friendly competition sort of thing. And so they're panning, they got the Williamson supporters, they got the Warren supporters, they get to where we are. I was the first person right next to the Warren supporter, and he stopped and walked away. And when one of our people called him out and said, "Hey, we all saw what you just did. You have to show equal representation." He did that. No vote, no verbal response, just shrug, walk away.
And you might not know, but were they like panning and showing the supporters when they were going to commercial, or was it during a segment, or you don't know?
I have no idea. I haven't actually watched it.
Right. So basically, they do that a lot at debates, at the convention, at this and that, where going into commercials, they show the supporters outside waving their signs, and they got, most cases, it's a physical cameraman. Sometimes it's a gliding bolt, big camera.
They had both.
They had both. So basically, what you're saying is they're showing Williamson strong, Warren's, Biden's 2 people, Warren strong, and then very abruptly stopped on you.
Very abruptly and very obviously. And the camera guy definitely had a response to people in our crowd saying, "That's not equal representation, that's unfair, you have to actually show all of us."
Did he say anything, or he just shrugged?
No, it was just that. And then when I left, they actually refused me entry back to the visibility zone, so I don't know how all that ended up after I'd left. And then when I did leave and I went to the other action, which was way bigger than the crowd in the visibility zone, the number of Bernie supporters in that crowd, it was just really, it's optics. You could definitely see the Bernie had big support. And we definitely kept running into people who were like, "I tried to make it in, and I gave up, and so, but we're out here now, and it's fine." And it's so obviously what is happening, what happened in 2016, all over again. And it's like we know how this ends. And
but it seems odd to me too, because if you wanted to give the police the benefit of the doubt, there was plenty of space for more people to come this visibility zone.
Yes.
So basically they are making up, blocking people or not letting people in, when in reality there's plenty of space.
There was a lot of space. The parking lot in front of the Fox Theater is fairly big. There was maybe in total 100, not even, it was 100 people. And we were able to freely move back and forth. We were just making sure to take up space on both sides. So we had like one little group on the Fox Theater side, and then we had like the 15 people on the other side where the cameras were, and we were very easily able to maneuver around. It was a lot of space.
So to people watching who might say, well, could it be possible that maybe you misinterpreted what happened? Maybe it was just police kind of being overly difficult, or they were confused, or what proof do you have that it was CNN?
The police officers told us straight up when I left to go get the DSA people. DSA has publicly endorsed Bernie. We made our own Bernie signs. They straight up told us, if you have any issues, you have to take it up with CNN. CNN is the one making the rules. CNN is rented out the lot for the specific event. There's no question that they were very much acting on directions from CNN. They very specifically told us that.
So how does it feel? Because like you guys are out there in good faith. Obviously, the media, I think, is trying to prop up Warren over Bernie. I think Warren did good last night. I'm not going to sugarcoat it, but the CNN, when you watch them, they make it seem like Elizabeth Warren has like surpassed Bernie, or she's taking all his voters, and like Bernie's lost his mojo. So when I report that CNN and MSNBC and others, they're pushing a narrative, it seems like it's not just a narrative, but what you're describing is kind of like a political operation from a news network.
Oh yeah, definitely. And it feels, I'm frustrated. I'm frustrated because I've been a Bernie supporter since 2010. And
you're an OG.
I learned about him in a political science class. Really specifically, Michael Moore's Capitalism, A Love Story. That's when I first learned about Bernie Sanders, and I considered myself a Bernie Sanders supporter. And even though at the time I was in California, and he was this was 5 years before he announced his candidacy, I remember in 2010 thinking, this guy should be president. And so in 2015, when he announced, I was probably one of the first people who, got my Bernie swag, got a sign, got stickers to pass out to people, was, at the rallies. Even in 2015, 2016, the rallies were pretty big. So I've been supporting Bernie since 2010. And I remember in 2016, we actually went to the DNC, and it was the same thing there, where they were very much making it seem like, there are no Bernie Sanders supporters. I had friends who were part of the Nevada caucus who protested at the Nevada caucus because it was very obviously rigged for Hillary. And that's something we've been seeing this, and as I was saying before, we know how this ends, and they're very obviously not wanting a candidate as progressive as Bernie, who's talking about the 1% screwing us all over, because at the end of the day, who is funding CNN?
AT&T, who, by the way, AT&T in the first 3 months of this campaign gave $53,000 to Kamala Harris. To be clear, it's individuals working at AT&T, but that's just a red herring. It's not the janitors at AT&T giving $53,000 to Kamala Harris. It's owners, senior management, executives, their spouses. It's all in there and guised as individuals working at AT&T. Maybe AT&T, maybe CNN should disclose that on air when reporting on Kamala Harris, because cynical people could say, well, you gave Kamala Harris a town hall 24 hours after she announced her candidacy. And boy, after Kamala Harris, with that zinger against Joe Biden in the last debate, CNN did free PR for her 24/7 for about 2-3 days. So I digress. With the camera thing where they panned and only showed they showed Williamson, Warren supporters, Biden supporters, and then just stopped. Did that happen more than once?
As far as I know, it was that was the one that I saw happen,
Okay.
and I really had the reaction of I saw it because I was, I was ready. I was like, I'm gonna, make sure my Bernie sign is in there, be happy. And I looked over to everybody. Everybody was to my left, and I looked over, and there was several other people who we all had this like moment of. We all just saw that, right? Like, it's not just me. And then we had one person who was very vocal about it. And so that was the one time that I'm aware of, but I wouldn't be surprised if there were more instances of that.
Did any of the Warren people that you were next to or the Williamson people notice it or say anything?
No, I don't. I mean, I don't know if they noticed it. I didn't talk to them because it was that happened actually right before I left to go get the DSA people.
Okay, and the DSA people were just not allowed in at all.
Oh no, we were definitely barricaded out. They actually physically moved barricades to keep DSA out, and. It went from being one police officer at the corner directing people to being 20 police officers standing in front of the barricades, making sure no one from DSA made it to the visibility zone. It was very obvious they didn't want us there. They didn't want DSA there.
Hope you enjoyed that last video. Hop on over to statuscoup.com where you can sign up for our email list and become a member for as low as $5 to $10 a month. Membership is how we grow. That's statuscoup.com/join. And remember, join our email list so we can grow the revolution with you.